Welcome back to the next section of Visual Studio Code and Docker training. And now we're going to get into the debug lab where we're going to break things, we're going to debug it, fix it, and redeploy it. It's going to be a really exciting section, so let's get started. Now, the entire lab is again located in the Visual Studio Code Docker training repo. If we scroll down, it is number 5, debug with Docker and Visual Studio Code. And you'll see the entire lab is here. We're going to break our application, we're going to insert breakpoints and watch variables, and finally we're going to fix our demo application. Let's head over to Visual Studio Code, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up the 04 power user directory. And let me focus on what we're doing here. So, all right, so we're going to open up this directory and we're going to break our application first and foremost. So click on app.py and that opens up our application, and it's our Python application. And line 10, you see this images variable. And we're going to add an extra S to this images, and we're going to save this file. So you can either do Command S, Control S, or however you want to save it, or you can go File and Save up here as well. Now, there's different ways to do it, but just by mistyping this variable, we've completely broke our application. And this is a very common thing to do. I mean, spelling mistakes, I'm a professional at, so it is a very common thing to mistype a variable or anything in here. So we've instantly broke our application. The next thing we need to do is we need to copy this Docker file here. We need to copy it, and we need to copy it to the 04 power user directory. And the reason being is in debug, it wants the Docker file next to the app. So we just need to make sure they're in the same directory. Typically, when you're doing this, you don't have all these folders like this when you have like a course. But for this particular instance, we want to make sure the Docker file is next to our app.py. All right, so let's head over, and now we've moved app.py there, and we're going to open up debug. Again, debug is this icon here, so the triangle with the bug. If you click on it, it opens up debug. And to launch debug, all we have to do is hit this green arrow up here. So go ahead and hit the green arrow. It's actually building our debug image. It's going to launch it when it's complete, and it actually opens. There you go. So it is running. It then redirects us to our browser, and it says internal server error. Our application is completely broken, right? It's not working any longer. Okay, but you know, in the debug, it didn't bring up any debug variables or anything like this because, you know, it just launched, but we don't know what's going on. So let's stop our debug, and now we're actually going to insert a breakpoint. If I go down to line 23 and hover to the left of line 23, this red dot appears. And that's actually the breakpoint. And as I mentioned in the section, the breakpoint tells the debug to stop here. Don't go further in the application so we can actually figure out what's happening within our application. The next thing we want to do is we can rerun the debug, and you'll see some things happen here. So it is actually executing the debug, and we'll have to wait for it to rebuild. Okay, now you see up here, it actually launched. Now we're grabbing all the variables. It didn't completely crash as last time because we stopped it before it crashed. So now you can see, okay, oh, you know, there's some variables here, but this is kind of weird. So let's actually watch for the images variable. So by clicking on watch, if you hover, there's a plus, and then it asks you which expression to watch. And if we add images in there, it says name images not defined. So it doesn't find images yet. That's what further down in our application, it asks for images here. Strange. Okay, let's stop our debug again. Let's go back and fix our variable. So remove that extra S, save the file again, Command S, Control S, or go to File and save the file. Okay, now we saved it again. So let's rerun our debug since we fixed the variable. And now you'll see it's rebuilding again, starting the application, and we've started. And now you see down in watch, we actually can capture the variables. So here's all the cat GIFs, and it looks much healthier now. So I think we fixed it now. So what we can actually do is remove this breakpoint, then restart our debug again. And now By removing the breakpoint, it says, okay, complete the whole launch of the application and see what happens. It's launching. Oh, brilliant. We fixed our application. Happy days. Now, what did we actually achieve? Like I said, we had a broken variable, and without having to stop a breakpoint in our application, it was just completely running through the whole application and breaking, and we weren't seeing what was happening. By inserting the breakpoint, down here halfway through the application, we're able to stop the application before it crashes, so we can actually see what's happening. And then we actually added this watch variable, and we added the images variable to it. So we're trying to capture the images variable to see what's happening. And if you remember, initially it couldn't find the images because it was spelled incorrectly, but the variable up here showed the variable it was outputting. So essentially we have all the information in this debug screen to fix our application without doing much else. I mean, this is all included within the Docker Compose that we initially had. If you remember when we bootstrapped our application, we had this Docker Compose debug. So when we're actually running debug, it's actually calling this compose file and adding all this debug content in for free. So we don't have to configure debug or anything like this. When we bootstrap the project from power user section, this is all included. So now we can debug our application automatically without having to add any extra code. We didn't write any extra code to add debug. Amazing. So that is it for the debug section. We fixed our application. We have a happy cat again, and we understand breakpoints now. So we can actually insert breakpoints. We can also troubleshoot our application. We understand how to start and stop debug and how it's actually working within our application. Join me in the next section as we recap debug.